that he is carrying, playing more than 40 minutes, in some cases being like their lead defensive player, depending on the matchup, also carrying the load of running the offense, facing double teams, having to create the amount of energy that he is pouring out these game after game. That's the thing. You look at the stats, as we talked about a little while ago, Stephen A. had
obviously the player of career high 12 assists. Booker made 34 of 43 field goals over the last 2 games, 79%. The best 2-game shooting performance in NBA postseason history with a minimum of 40 field goals. I'm not finished, Kendrick Perkins. I'm not finished. The light-skinned Mamba. This is what I'm talking about. Over his record 2-game shooting span, he's 10 for 10 from mid-range, 16 for 21 in the paint, 8 for 12 from three-point range. I'm not finished. I got more.
And I said anybody. That means even Jimmy Butler, who's been great. I think Booker is at the highest level, and he was certainly at a high level yesterday.
Well, you know what? Let me take a moment to appreciate all the superstars and stars around the league, because they haven't disappointed us one bit for us the performances they've been putting on. And that includes Devin Booker, Jokic, and various others. But let me say this about James Harden. I think Game 4, his performance was just flat out special out of everybody that played last night or yesterday. And here's why. Because it was a bounce-back game from how horrible he looked in Game 3. But all 42 of those points were needed. In a night where I know Joel Embiid, I believe he had
76ers even the series at 2 games apiece.
That was an epic finish to an amazing game. In fact, this past weekend was filled with masterclass performance after masterclass performance, headlined by these 3 players. Harden and Booker led their respective teams to a victory, while Jokic became just the 3rd center in NBA history with a 50-point game, joining Wilt Chamberlain and Bob McAdoo. Wendy is back with us for this conversation, joining Stephen A. Smith and Perk. So, Wendy, I'm going to start with you on this one. Who had the most impressive Game 4 yesterday, Harden, Booker, or Jokic?
And Christine, when you do something that Wilt Chamberlain does, when you put your name in that, it's usually pretty special. And I have to say to you that Jokic made my jaw drop, even under Jokic standards, about 5 times with stuff he made yesterday. And I still think
Jokic. But I'm just going to drop the mic by reading a couple of stuff to you, Kendrick Perkins. Devin Booker, 36 points, 14 of 18 shooting from the field. He followed up his 20.
And if you're a Suns fan, you're looking at Durant and Booker and seeing, like, they put up 130 yesterday. They shot 58% as a team. You're looking at Durant and Booker and you're like, wow, this is incredible. I don't know if they've got enough this year. And if/when the Suns lose this series, and there's going to be some reckoning, like, oh my gosh, they gave all that stuff up. Oh my gosh, should somebody be the fall guy for them getting out in the second round? Number one, that's disrespectful to the Nuggets, who have been great. Number two, I want you to look at this as a 3-year window. Give them this offseason. Tell me if you're a free agent and you have options. In other words, you're not going for the money. You can get money different places. Tell me you're a free agent who can be a contributor there and you don't want to go live in Phoenix and play with those 2 dudes. So I don't think that we're going to be talking about the Suns that much longer. This is a team I've spent a lot of time around. This roster, that they are going to be, and I know that they don't have cap space, they don't have draft picks, but they have an owner who's willing to go into the tax. And so just get ready.
History of the NBA to average 35 or more points on 60% shooting through the first 9 postseason games. There's nothing to discuss. The light
the 2-guard position.
The light-skinned Mamba has arrived. The light-skinned Mamba has arrived. It's official.
And I just hope that he can stay
tied up to send it to overtime, but to hit the game-winning bucket and to have the 8 and 9 to go with it, that was beyond special. Because Philly loses that game, that's a problem. They go back to Boston, and it's over with. Now, all of a sudden, you got life. Joel Embiid could get a couple, more, one day of treatment at least. We know he's not going to look as bad as he did last night. And even on the bad night, he still put up a 30-point double-double. But James Harden, For him to bounce back in that fashion was beyond special. The game-time bucket to go in overtime and the game-winning bucket in overtime to seal the deal.
Kendrick Perkins, much love to James Harden, especially with the pressure that was on him because of how anemic and awful he looked in the previous 2 games, shooting about 16% from the field. It was pretty bad. After that first 45-point performance in Game 1, the Boston Celtics put the clamps on him and was just saying there's levels to this, and we don't believe you're on it any longer. And then he showed up in a must-win Game 4 and balled out and saved Embiid, saved the day. Give credit where credit is due to James Harden. Mad love. Talked about him being absent, Cameron Payne being in there, quickening the pace, and Monty Williams being forced to play his bench. Bench averaging 14.3 points per game over the first 2 games of this series, throughout the playoffs, which was the worst of any team in the postseason, but have outscored Denver over the last 2 games, particularly Game 4 yesterday, 40-11. Chris Paul has missed 4 postseason games in his career as a Phoenix Sun. Do you know what Phoenix Suns' record is? 4-0 in the postseason.
Wendy, I believe you're leaving us.
Christine, can I appreciate Stephen A?
You want to appreciate him? Okay.
Can I appreciate? Yeah. His Stephen A's world the other night, Friday night, was off the chain. I'm telling you, it was off the chain. I've been there with him, Boris Kojo, and listen, Carmen.
My sister
Carmen with the groceries she had. Yeah, Sister Carmen.
She laid it out. My sister could throw down. My sister. She
did her thing.
He calls it groceries.
Because you had that you brought here. That is, in and of itself, that is unbelievable. And then when you consider what he is being asked to do by that team, the burden that he has taken is more incredible. I know that he didn't have the level of points that he had. The previous 2 home games, by the way, guys, he had 47 in his last 2 playoff home games. Just that.